The pounding echoed through the quiet suburban street like a desperate heartbeat, shattering the silence of the witching hour. Eleanor Hayes, a young mother of two, jolted awake in her bed, her heart racing as she glanced at the clock exactly midnight. She crept downstairs, flipping on the porch light, and opened the door to find old Mr. Harlan Whitaker, her reclusive neighbor of 20 years, standing there with wild eyes, clutching a blood-soaked bundle that wriggled faintly, eliciting a primal scream from her throat that woke the entire household. Eleanor's husband, Tom, rushed down the stairs, his face pale under the harsh glow of the light. "What in God's name?" he started, but his words died as he saw the bundle in Harlan's arms. It was a tiny form, wrapped in a stained towel, and as Harlan unwrapped it slightly, they saw the face of a newborn baby, its skin pale and smeared with what looked like birth fluids and blood. The infant let out a weak cry, and Eleanor's scream turned into a gasp of horror mixed with confusion. Harlan, his voice trembling like autumn leaves in the wind, whispered, "Please, help me. She's mine, but not mine." The Hayes family had known Harlan Whitaker as the quiet widower next door, the man who tended his garden with meticulous care but rarely spoke more than a greeting. He'd lost his wife, Margaret, to cancer a decade ago, and since then, he'd become a shadow of himself, rarely seen outside except to collect his mail or water his roses. Eleanor had tried to be neighborly, bringing him casseroles on holidays, but he'd always politely declined deeper conversation. Now, here he was, at their door in the dead of night, holding a baby that couldn't possibly be his. Tom's mind raced. Kidnapping? Some delusion of old age? He grabbed his phone to call 911, but Eleanor stopped him, her maternal instincts kicking in as she reached for the child. "Wait," she said softly. "Let's hear him out first." Harlan stumbled inside, his frail body collapsing into the living room armchair as Eleanor carefully took the baby from him. The infant was cold, its cries feeble, and she wrapped it in a clean blanket from the couch, cooing gently to soothe it. "Where did this come from, Mr. Whitaker?" Tom demanded, his voice stern but laced with concern. Harlan's eyes, watery and red-rimmed, stared at the floor. I found her. On my doorstep. Just an hour ago. There was a note. Said she was my granddaughter. But I don't have children. Margaret and we couldn't." He pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, handing it to Tom with shaking hands. The note was scrawled in hasty handwriting. "Dad, I'm sorry. I couldn't keep her. She's yours now. Please forgive me." No signature, just those words. Eleanor's heart ached as she rocked the baby, who had quieted down, her tiny fingers grasping at the air. "Your granddaughter? But you said—" Harlan nodded weakly. "I had a daughter. Once. But she ran away. 40 years ago. I thought she was gone forever." The revelation hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy with unspoken pain. Tom softened, setting the phone down. "We need to get her to a hospital. She's hypothermic." As they bundled into the car, the drive to the emergency room was tense, the baby's soft whimpers the only sound breaking the silence. Harlan sat in the back with Eleanor, his gaze fixed on the child as if she were a ghost from his past. At the hospital, doctors whisked the infant away for checks, confirming she was a healthy newborn, perhaps only hours old, but abandoned in the cold. The police arrived, taking statements, and Harlan recounted his story in halting breaths. The knock on his door earlier that evening, the bundle left with the note, his panic leading him to the neighbors because he didn't know what else to do. While waiting for news, Harlan opened up more than he ever had. He spoke of his youth, marrying Margaret Young, their dreams of a family shattered by infertility. They adopted a baby girl, Lila, in secret, raising her as their own. But when Lila turned 18, she discovered the adoption papers and felt betrayed. "She screamed at us, said we weren't her real parents," Harlan murmured, tears streaming down his wrinkled cheeks. "She packed a bag and left. We searched for years, but she vanished. Margaret never recovered. It broke her heart." Eleanor placed a hand on his arm, feeling the weight of his loneliness. Tom, listening quietly, realized how isolation could erode a person's soul. The doctor returned with good news. The baby was stable, no injuries, but they'd need to involve child services. As the night wore on, Harlan's exhaustion showed, but so did a flicker of hope in his eyes. "If she's really Lila's, my granddaughter," he trailed off. Eleanor promised to stay with him through it, sensing the humanistic thread binding them, the unexpected gift of connection in crisis. But as dawn approached, a nurse approached with a puzzled look. "Mr. Whitaker, the note. We tested it for fingerprints. There's something you should know." It turned out the note had traces of DNA matching the baby's, but also something else, a partial print that belonged to someone in the system. The police officer explained gently. "It's from a woman named Lila Thompson. She's in our database for a minor offense years ago. We're trying to locate her." Harlan's face lit up with a mix of joy and fear. For the first time in decades, he had a lead on his lost daughter. The Hayes family, now deeply involved, offered to help search, turning their fear into action. Back home the next morning, after leaving the baby in hospital care, Harlan invited the Hayes over for tea first. As they sat in his dusty living room, surrounded by faded photos of Margaret and young Lila, he shared more stories. Lila had been a bright child, full of dreams, but the revelation shattered her trust. "I should have told her sooner," Harlan admitted, his voice cracking. Eleanor shared her own fears as a parent, how she worried about her kids feeling loved. Tom, a stoic engineer, opened up about his estranged brother, drawing parallels in regret. That afternoon, a twist arrived unexpectedly. A knock at Harlan's door revealed Mrs. Patel from across the street, an elderly widow herself, holding a basket of fruits. "I saw the police last night," she said in her accented English. "I couldn't sleep, but I think I know something." Mrs. Patel, who had lived in the neighborhood longer than anyone, confessed she'd seen a young woman lurking near Harlan's house days before. "She looked like the girl in your photos," she said, pointing to a picture of Lila. But more shockingly, Mrs. Patel revealed she had helped Lila once, years ago, when she was pregnant and homeless, directing her to a shelter. She mentioned her father, said she wanted to come back, but was ashamed. This unexpected ally changed everything. Mrs. Patel's story added layers to Lila's disappearance. She hadn't vanished out of hate, but fear. Harlan, overwhelmed, hugged the woman he'd barely spoken to in years, realizing neighbors weren't just faces, but lifelines. Together, they contacted the shelter from Mrs. Patel's memory, uncovering records of Lila staying there briefly before moving on. As days passed, the search intensified. The baby, named Hope by the hospital staff, became a symbol of redemption. Harlan visited her daily, his steps lighter, sharing tales of his garden with the nurses. Eleanor and Tom juggled their lives to support him, their children even drawing pictures for Grandpa Harlan. The drama unfolded with emotional highs and lows, false leads on Lila's whereabouts, moments of doubt where Harlan questioned if he deserved this second chance. One evening, as they pored over old letters, Tom found a postcard from Lila, postmarked 5 years ago from a small town 2 hours away. "I'm okay, Dad. Miss you." It was unsigned, but the handwriting matched. They decided to drive there, Harlan's heart pounding with anticipation. The road trip was filled with reflections, Harlan on lost time, Eleanor on the fragility of family bonds, emphasizing the humanistic value of forgiveness. Arriving in the town, they asked around, showing photos. A diner owner recognized Lila. "She works at the library now. Quiet lady, keeps to herself." Their excitement built as they headed there, but upon entering, they found the library closed early. Waiting outside, Harlan's nerves frayed, but Mrs. Patel's words echoed. "Sometimes, the lost come back when ready." Finally, a woman emerged, Lila, older but unmistakable. She froze seeing Harlan. "Dad?" she whispered. The reunion was tearful, words tumbling out, apologies, explanations. Lila had run away in anger but regretted it, living a nomadic life, having the baby alone, too ashamed to return until desperation forced her hand. "I left her with you because I knew you'd love her," she sobbed. Harlan embraced her, the years melting away. "You're home now," he said. The Hayes watched, moved by the scene, understanding how one midnight knock could heal generational wounds. But as they celebrated, another layer emerged. Lila revealed she'd been battling addiction, the reason for leaving the baby. "I need help, Dad." Harlan, with newfound strength, promised support, drawing the community closer. The days following the reunion were a whirlwind of emotions, blending joy with the raw edges of reality. Harlan's house, once a silent tomb of memories, now buzzed with life as Lila moved in temporarily with baby Hope, released from the hospital into their care under supervision. Eleanor and Tom became unofficial family, helping with diapers and meals, their own children fascinated by the new baby next door. Yet, beneath the surface, tensions simmered. Lila's withdrawal symptoms from years of substance abuse made nights restless, her cries echoing Harlan's own past pains. Harlan, at 85, found purpose in grandfatherhood. He rocked hope in Margaret's old chair, humming lullabies he'd sung to Lila as a child. "She's got your eyes," he told Lila one afternoon, sunlight filtering through the window onto their faces. Lila smiled faintly, but her hands shook as she confessed, "I don't know if I can do this, Dad. I've messed up so much." Harlan took her hand, his voice steady despite his frailty. "We all mess up, sweetheart. The point is coming back." Mrs. Patel became a regular visitor, bringing homemade curries and stories from her own life in India, where family rifts were mended through shared meals. Her presence added an unexpected cultural depth, teaching Lila breathing exercises for anxiety. "In my village, we say forgiveness is like rain, it washes away the dust," she shared, her words resonating with humanistic warmth. One day, she surprised them with a photo album of her late husband and children, drawing parallels to Harlan's losses, shifting perspectives on resilience. As Lila attended rehab meetings, arranged by Tom, who used his connections, the family faced a twist. A social worker's visit revealed potential custody issues. "Given your history, Ms. Thompson, we need to ensure stability," the worker said sternly. Lila panicked, fearing losing hope, but Harlan stood firm. "She's staying with us. I'll fight for her." This ignited a community effort. Neighbors, alerted by Mrs. Patel, wrote letters of support, highlighting Harlan's quiet decency over the years. In the midst of this, an unexpected secondary character emerged, Father Ramirez from the local church, whom Eleanor invited for counsel. A kind man in his 60s, he'd known Margaret and offered spiritual guidance Harlan had long avoided. "God gives second chances," he said during a home visit, sharing his own story of abandoning the priesthood young due to doubt, only to return later. This twist humanized faith for Lila, who opened up about her spiraling life after leaving home, abusive relationships, dead-end jobs, the addiction that numbed her guilt. Father Ramirez's involvement changed the dynamic, organizing a small group session where Lila confronted her past. "I felt like I didn't belong," she admitted tearfully. Harlan, holding hope, replied, "You always belonged. We just didn't say it enough." The session ended in hugs, emphasizing emotional healing over blame. Meanwhile, the search for permanent solutions continued. Tom researched adoption laws, discovering Harlan could petition for guardianship. Eleanor, balancing her job, found solace in bonding with Lila over motherhood stories. "My kids drive me crazy, but they're my world," she said, helping Lila see her potential. One stormy night, reminiscent of the fateful midnight, Lila relapsed slightly, sneaking out for a fix. Harlan awoke to find her gone, his heart sinking. He knocked on the Hayes' door again, this time holding only worry. "She's out there," he said, voice breaking. Tom drove them around, finding Lila at a park bench, sobbing. "I can't escape myself," she cried. Harlan sat beside her, rain soaking them. "Then let's face it together." This moment of vulnerability deepened their bond, showcasing the drama of addiction's grip and the humanistic triumph of unwavering love. Back home, with Father Ramirez's help, they set boundaries and goals. Mrs. Patel hosted a neighborhood potluck, turning isolation into community. Stories flowed. One neighbor shared losing a child to illness, another about reconciling with estranged parents. These tales emphasized collective humanity, that no one suffers alone. As weeks turned to months, Lila improved, attending therapy diligently. Hope's first smile lit up the room, a beacon of hope. Harlan taught Lila gardening, planting roses in Margaret's honor. "Life grows from dirt," he said philosophically. But drama peaked when Lila's ex, the baby's father, appeared unannounced, demanding custody. A burly man with a troubled past, he claimed reform. The confrontation in Harlan's living room was tense, voices rising. "She's mine too," he argued. Lila stood her ground, supported by her family. "Not anymore. You've hurt us enough." Father Ramirez mediated, uncovering the ex's insincerity. Wanted money. With police involved, he left, but the scare reinforced their unity. Eleanor reflected, family isn't just blood, it's who stands by you. Harlan, feeling his age, wrote letters to hope for the future, sharing life lessons. Cherish connections, he penned, tears blotting the ink. The story's emotional core shone in quiet moments like Harlan and Lila watching sunset, bridging lost years. Humanistic values prevailed, redemption through empathy, the power of community. Yet, as stability neared, a subtle twist loomed: health concerns for Harlan, a doctor's visit revealing early dementia. I might forget, he worried. Lila reassured. We'll remember for you. With the custody threat averted, the household settled into a rhythm of recovery and rediscovery. Harlan's dementia diagnosis hung like a shadow, but it spurred them to create memories deliberately. Mornings began with Hope's coups, Lila preparing breakfast while Harlan read the paper, his mind still sharp most days. Tell me about Mom again, Lila would ask, hungry for stories of Margaret she'd missed in her absence. Harlan obliged, painting vivid pictures of their life: picnics by the lake, dances in the kitchen, infusing each tale with love's enduring glow. Eleanor's family integrated seamlessly, her children treating Harlan like a grandfather. Little Timmy, age 7, brought drawings of Super Grandpa saving the baby, eliciting chuckles that lightened heavy hearts. Tom, practical as ever, installed safety features in Harlan's home for his condition: handrails, labeled cabinets, acts of quiet kindness that spoke volumes. Mrs. Patel's influence grew, introducing traditions like Diwali lights to symbolize new beginnings. During one celebration, she shared a twist from her past. As a young immigrant, she'd hidden a child from an arranged marriage scandal, only reuniting years later. Secrets bind us, but truth frees, she said, her words prompting Lila to reveal more about her wandering years: cities traversed, jobs lost, the loneliness that mirrored Harlan's. Father Ramirez became a fixture, leading informal gatherings on forgiveness. One session introduced another unexpected character, Sarah, a young volunteer from the rehab center, who had her own addiction story. Barely 25, Sarah bonded with Lila as a peer mentor, sharing modern coping apps and yoga routines. Her youthful energy injected hope, changing perspectives on generational healing. You're not defined by your worst days, Sarah told Lila, echoing humanistic ideals. As Harlan's forgetfulness increased, misplacing keys, repeating stories, the family adapted with grace. Lila documented their days in a journal, reading back to him during lapses. Remember when we found Hope? She'd say, and his eyes would sparkle. This routine highlighted the drama of aging, the bittersweet dance of memory and loss. A pivotal twist arrived via mail. A letter from Lila's biological mother, traced through adoption records Tom had dug up. The woman, now elderly herself, expressed regret for giving Lila up. I was young and scared, she wrote. This revelation shook Lila, adding layers to her identity crisis. Who am I really? She confided in Eleanor. Together, they decided to meet her, a road trip that tested bonds. En route, Harlan shared wisdom. Blood doesn't make family. Choices do. The meeting in a quaint cafe was emotional. The bio mom, frail and tearful, offered closure without demands. I'm glad you found your way back, she said. Lila, holding hope, felt a weight lift, embracing her multifaceted roots. Back home, this encounter inspired Lila to pursue education, enrolling in online courses for social work. I want to help others like us, she declared. Harlan beamed with pride, his condition stable on medication. Community involvement deepened when they organized a neighborhood support group for families in crisis. Father Ramirez facilitated, Sarah co-led, drawing in diverse stories from single parents to elders facing isolation. One attendee, an old veteran named Jack, shared parallels with Harlan's war experiences, hinted at earlier, forging a friendship that emphasized camaraderie in twilight years. Drama escalated during a health scare. Harlan collapsed in the garden, a mild stroke. Rushed to the hospital, the family rallied, Lila by his bedside, whispering, "Don't leave us now." He recovered, but it underscored mortality's fragility. I've lived full now, he said weakly, thanks to you all. Post-recovery, celebrations marked milestones: Hope's first steps, Lila's sobriety anniversary. Mrs. Patel hosted, her curries symbolizing blended lives. Sarah surprised with a tattoo of a phoenix, inspiring Lila to get 1-2 symbols of rebirth. Humanistic threads wove through empathy bridging divides, resilience in vulnerability. Harlan, reflecting on his life, found peace in the unexpected family circle. Yet, as winter approached, another layer unfolded. Lila discovering she was pregnant again, this time planned with a new, supportive partner met through the group. A fresh start, she said joyfully. Harlan, holding hope, smiled. The cycle continues. The story's kismet lay in transformation from a scream-inducing midnight to harmonious dawns. Seasons shifted, and with them, the tapestry of their lives grew richer, threads of joy and sorrow intertwining. Harlan's dementia progressed slowly, but the family's vigilance turned potential tragedy into tender care. Lila, now blooming in her second pregnancy, balanced studies and motherhood, her confidence a testament to redemption's power. Hope toddled around, her laughter a balm for old wounds, calling Harlan Papa in her babbling voice. Eleanor's household remained intertwined, family dinners alternating homes. Timmy and his sister taught Hope games, while Tom helped Lila with coursework, his engineering logic aiding her assignments. You're building a future, he'd encourage, embodying supportive kinship. Mrs. Patel's cultural infusions continued, teaching Hope simple Hindi words, fostering inclusivity. Her twist deepened when she revealed a long-lost niece contacting her via social media, mirroring their reunions. Technology bridges oceans, she mused, prompting the group to use apps for tracing more about Lila's past. Father Ramirez and Sarah expanded the support group, now a community staple. Sarah's unexpected romance with a fellow volunteer added levity, her happiness inspiring Lila's budding relationship. Love finds you when you're ready, Sarah shared, shifting emotional focus to new beginnings. A dramatic peak came during a blizzard, power out, huddling together. Harlan, in a lucid moment, recounted wartime tales hiding in trenches, losing comrades drawing parallels to life's battles. Survival is about who you hold on to, he said, his words profound amid the storm's howl. Post-blizzard, Harlan's health dipped again, hospitalization revealing heart issues. The family faced tough talks about care facilities, but Lila insisted he stays home. They adapted the house further, hiring aides Sarah recommended. In this vulnerability, humanistic values shone. Dignity in aging, the honor of caregiving. Lila's pregnancy progressed, ultrasounds revealing twins, a boy and girl, amplifying excitement and fears. Can I handle 3? She worried. Eleanor reassured, sharing her own parenting doubts. An unforeseen twist introduced Dr. Elena Vargas, Harlan's cardiologist, a Latina woman whose parents had similar adoption stories. My familia healed through truth, she confided during a house call, offering medical and emotional advice. Her presence diversified their circle, emphasizing universal struggles. As spring bloomed, Harlan's garden flourished under Lila's care, roses symbolizing renewal. He dictated memoirs to her, preserving legacy. Write about the knock that changed everything, he urged. Community events peaked with a fundraiser for the group, stories shared on stage. Jack the veteran spoke of PTSD, paralleling Lila's addiction, fostering empathy. Drama resurfaced when Lila's ex reappeared legally, contesting paternity. Court battles ensued, tense and draining. Harlan testified shakily, family is earned. With evidence and support letters, they won, solidifying bonds. Post-victory, celebrations included a backyard party, Father Ramirez blessing the home. Sarah announced her engagement, joy contagious. Harlan, sensing his time waning, gathered them one evening. You've given me more than I deserved, he said tearfully. Love fiercely. That night, he passed peacefully in sleep, hope curled beside him. Grief enveloped them, but his funeral was a celebration, stories, laughter through tears. Lila named her son Harlan Jr., honoring legacy. Months later, with twins born, the house brimmed with life. Eleanor reflected on that midnight scream. It wasn't horror, it was a call to connect. The humanistic essence endured, forgiveness mending breaks, community sustaining souls. Lila, now leading the group, helped others, perpetuating the cycle. In quiet moments, they felt Harlan's presence in the roses, a reminder that one act can echo eternally.